Sailor Tarot Magic is the spot to get a reading from Sally, an intuitive healer and tarot reader. Known as the Nurturing Reader at New Jersey street fairs, you can also check out our YouTube channel for lunar and astro readings, as well as our Instagram for live weekly readings. Her rates are affordable, and you will leave with a newfound perspective. Sally is now offering an introductory class on tarot cards and intuition, and is available for parties. Call or text 732-314-0777 to schedule your reading today.
It's Tuesday night, and that means it's BTDY Race Day. Welcome, race fans, to virtual New Hampshire for the Icon Apparel 150. This being the penultimate race of the regular season. Everything these drivers have worked for to get here all comes down to tonight and next week. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Logan Threlkeld, and alongside me tonight is a special guest, Connor Horn. Connor, so far we've completed 10 out of the 12 regular season races, and the points breakdown going into tonight's race is a fierce battle at the cut line, for only 4 drivers who have won the race are safe into the round of 12. What are your thoughts about going into these last 2 races here with this battle at the cut line? Do we see a 5th driver join that list tonight, Connor?
I don't know if we will, because a lot of the guys who have won this season and have been so fast this season are near the top of the leaderboard right now. Jeff Wright needs no introduction with 6 wins on the season, leading the regular season title. I don't see Keith Maiato in the session right now, so this could clinch it tonight for Jeff Wright. We'll have to wait and see, but he's always been very fast here at this track. He's just got to finish another few races off before the chase starts. But that cut line battle, what you were mentioning, very, very tight. Faircloth, Carey, Loveland. Stravado's not here tonight. He's not going to be safe. Mahalski. Really no one third on back is necessarily safe yet. Chris Simmerd, he's only about 20-something points, 21 points above Justin Carey, who's barely in right now by 5 points over Cody Atkins. So There's going to be a lot of moving at the cut line after tonight, and then we go to Charlotte next week. It's going to get even crazier with a track everyone knows, and everyone thinks they know how to drive it, but that usually causes a lot of yells at Charlotte. But we got to get to Charlotte first. New Hampshire, very interesting racetrack because it just got the new art update and races so much differently than it used to. 1.06 mile track, obviously in Loudon, opened about 35 years ago, and it's been a pretty fun ticket ever since in real life. And I think it races better than it ever has on iRacing as of late. Really no banking, very flat. You'll see drivers pretty high up on the track. We're going to see the apron get tested out too, I think.
I would have to say you are 100% correct about that. The racing tonight is going to be insane. A lot of drivers out here setting good, but really good practice times. And looking at the scoreboard right now as qualifying has come to conclusion. We have a new face on the pole tonight. That'll be Brody Hayes. So let's get down here and get through our grid going into tonight, Connor.
Let's get down to the gridding for the Icon Apparel 150 19 car field entering Loudon, the Magic Mile tonight. Brody Hayes, like you mentioned, on the pole in his Chevrolet Camaro, the number 37 at 29.807. He bests Jeff Wright, the points leader for this series, who will start runner-up second tonight on row number 1. Then third position, Jace Cully, who's been pretty fast in practice, put down a good time. He'll start third. Only one of 3 drivers inside the 32nd bracket. Ronnie Osmer at 30.041. He'll start fourth in the number 20. Dennis Fairclough will start in the 5th position in his number 80 Toyota Supra, one of the Supras in the field tonight. He'll start alongside a Mustang, always familiar to me in Saturday night, and he's a staple of this series. Max Cost will start 6th. 7th position, Cody Atkins in the 55. I think that's the Dukes Mayo Camaro alongside Chris Simmerd in the VSPEED number 77, starting 8th. We'll be showing the VSPEED car a lot. Well, because, you need self-promotion. Dallas Sullivan in the number 46, sponsored by Lego. He will start in the 9th position and just inside the top 10. Another Justin Carey, the number 21 Chevrolet Camaro, a 30.138 gets him into the top 10.
And just outside of our top 10, Ray Massey in the Clark Printing and Promotions, number 23. He'll start out there in 11th next to the 3 of Jeremiah Vincent in that Chevy Camaro. 13th will go to James Loveland in the 02 next to the 13 in 14th, Jake Mackey. 15th goes to Noah Mahalski in the 03, and 16th belongs to the Ryan Gimmel in the 6. Bailey Turner in the 24 takes 17th with no qualifying effort. Alan Dice in the 5, same boat, taking 18th. And last but not least in our 19-car field, Todd Giles Jr. in the 14 here tonight. But we've got race cars rolling on the track now, Connor. Let's get right to it as they're coming down the back stretch.
Yeah, down the back straightaway. This is a one-lap one-lap track for pace lap, so we're going to get to the action right away. Watch Jeff Wright on the outside on this initial start, and watch for Bailey Turner. He's very fast here as well, but he's going to have to come through the entire field to get to the front to challenge one of these front runners. Led by Brody Hayes into the Geico restart zone towards the flag man. Down the front straightaway, and we are green. It's BTDY night in America. We're green and Loudon. No short of action for the first lap of 150 as Jeff Wright chased it all the way to the outside wall. He tried to hang on to the right rear quarter panel, but Brody Hayes gets away with the lead. Lap number 1 is they're side-by-side for third with Cully and Osmer for that third position.
Cully and Osmer right here. Just a fierce battle already. Cannot get away from being side-by-side.
Had some contact in the back. Jeremiah Vincent, big damage on the hood of Jake Mackey as well. Number of drivers in the grass. That is Mahalski taking evasive action with big damage with a little mini incident, but will stay green. He has to take the road course to evade all the rest of the extracurricular happening, but we stay green with a lot of damaged cars at the back, more than we anticipated early on, as Jeff Wright at the front goes dive into that apron that we'll see a lot of drivers try to use, as Osmer is on the apron out of turn number 2. but they're all going to stay single file as that little mini incident really spread things out.
One thing we will see is oh man, almost contact there for the 02 and the 21. Caught me up on my words. But one thing we'll definitely see is a lot of variation in the driving line from these drivers. You have to make that kind of negotiation with the track of finding the grip and where you can make the pass. It's not going to be the same place lap by lap.
And I don't think James Loveland's line agreed with Justin Carey's line. He kind of straight lined into 3, and the 21 had to take evasive action just to avoid a crash there. So you can see the 21 and the 02 kind of drifting up the racetrack out of the normal groove a little bit and then cutting a little lower on exit. Like you said, we're going to see different lines all night long, whether short run or long run. You're going to see drivers trying different things. Meanwhile, at the front, most drivers running the same line, a little high on entry, a little low on exit. And Jeff Wright making it work up ahead out of turn number 2. Great run on the 37 of Brody Hayes. He's going to look for the race lead into turn number 3.
Look at him diving. Massey take a position away there as well, coming through turns 1 and 2. But now Hayes on the outside. He is back to the lead here. Got the advantage through 3 and 4 over Jeff Wright.
It's going to be a very hard pass. We see it all the time at New Hampshire. Making a pass work on the bottom of the racetrack. That driver on the outside can just pinch you down, and he is going to be able to keep the spot. So a lot of work to be done for the Pepsi Zero Sugar number 48. That is always a factor in BTDY, looking for win number 7 on the season, but not quite able to make that pass. And him and Hayes putting a decent gap on Chase Cully, about half a second back to the 65, all alone in 3rd. So his field sorted out rather nicely after the mini incident. Trying to look at the drivers who got damaged from that incident down the backstretch. Jake Mackey, 17th position, has no hood. Looks like Noah Mahalski's taking his car on the pit lane. He has not returned to the race, but besides that, we're single file throughout the 18 cars currently left on this racetrack as Hayes drifts up the racetrack, hit that bump into turn 3 and shot him a little bit sideways. Jeff Wright trying to pounce, but not quite able to get the run he needs, but Hayes hits the wall out of turn number 4, and now Jeff Wright has the run he needs.
Taking a look at this battle in front here from the 3rd place of Jace Coley. Wright blows through turn 1 way high, out of the groove, allows Hayes to get back to the inside. We're back side by side down the backstretch.
That was the perfect move. He dives into turn number 1 to get positioning on the outside of Brody Hayes, and this battle for the race lead's going even higher up the racetrack. Jeff Wright got the positioning on the track he wanted, and he will slide off of turn number 4, but he'll take the lead. Coming to start lap number 9, new race leader, Jeff Wright.
Wright is no stranger to being at the front of these fields as he has won 6 races out of the 10 so far. Already looking to make it 7 for 11.
And no 7-Eleven sponsorship, but you can get Pepsi at 7-Eleven if you want, as Hayes lighting up the rear bumper of that 48, trying not to let him get away as these drivers are already sliding up off the corner, almost into the outside wall. And you can see a little bit of breakaway from the camera. Max Koss is in 6th position at the back of this line, but behind him, a little bit of a logjam behind Chris Simmerd in the 77. He started in the 8th position, got that 7th position from Cody Atkins, and now a little bit of a logjam behind the 55. Atkins, Sullivan, Loveland, Ray Massey all on a line. All about a 4 to 5 car battle for the 8th position right now, but Simmerd looking to get away.
Bailey Turner back here in the 24 on that low line, looking to claim another spot. Already up 4 after putting in no qualifying effort. Now, with this advantage here over the 21 of Justin Carey, it makes it 5 for Turner already in this race.
When he does race, he is one of the fastest drivers on track that can rival the 48 of Jeff Wright. Speaking of Jeff Wright, he's under siege for the lead again. Here comes Hayes back to the inside in the middle of turn number 3. Can he get the run off of 4 to compete? Big bobble almost into the side of Jeff Wright as they go to battle. But while they battle, they still pull away from Jace Cully a little bit. Hayes does not want to give it up easily. He overcooked the corner, almost got into the left rear again of Jeff Wright, and the 48 will keep the position for at least another set of corners. Incredible stuff at the front, while the battle behind Atkins starts to heat up a little bit. He slides off the corner, and Dallas Sullivan looks to pounce as Hayes, for the lead, is still right on the door of Jeff Wright.
This is one of those battles you don't want to take your eyes off. There is action throughout the field, but up here for the lead, it is hot and heavy. Brody Hayes still all over the back bumper. He's going to look to take the low line here coming out of turn number 2. Wright's going to pinch him down low. Does not get the run that he needs to get back to being side by side. We'll see if Hayes sets up for an inside move here in 3. He does not.
I think he's going to set up to try to enter high, exit low, get the runoff before maybe get back to the inside. We're already looking at a few tenths of a second of fall off, and it's only lap 13. These drivers are really using the tires up already, and it shows they're the class of the field right now as the battle for third maybe heats up in a few laps. Ronnie Osmer not quite to the rear bumper of Jace Cully for that spot, but he is gaining. Meanwhile, that battle with Atkins and Sullivan is cooled down. They've kind of spread apart. Side-by-side battle with Alan Dice and Jeremiah Vincent for the 14th position, as once again Brody Hayes is just toying with the rear bumper of that 48 car.
There's mere inches between this 37 and the 48. Whenever it comes to turn number 3, Hayes seems a lot more comfortable there than he does in 1 and 2. But while we've got some separation between those two, let's take a look a little bit further back here. Just one spot behind. You mentioned Osmer was catching up to the back end of Foley. That gap has remained about the same. Big send into turn number 3 from Osmer, though. Closes that gap instantly. Just not going to be able to get the drive off of the corner that he needs to get around the 65.
Been seeing that from Osmer the last few laps, and that almost looks like Jace Cully that time just tried to enter lower to block it. Osmer will get a better run through the center, but will be able to carry it on exit, not quite flirting with the inside safer barrier off of turn 2, as these drivers are going to do all night long. Quick note, noted Jake Mackey had some damage to the front of the nose. He took his car to pit road, so now that's a second driver off track. Still 17 running. As that battle for third heats up, the battle for the lead hasn't gone away. Jeff Wright hit the wall a little bit at a turn number 4, and here comes Brody Hayes looking to the outside to make a pass. They're going to make contact for the race lead. Fender to fender, and Jeff Wright's going to be able to maintain the spot for now, but it's getting testy. Only 17 laps in, he slides off of turn 2 to keep the lead.
Hayes right behind him. You saw that rear end kind of kick out there once he got closer to the wall, able to collect it back up and put the pressure right back to the 48 machine of Wright once more. This is going to be a battle that's just going to develop even more and more throughout this race.
No one really likes to talk about it because everyone loves the Xfinity cars, but clean air matters, and being stuck in dirty air will matter for the tire life. So Hayes wants to get this pass, get that clean air back. You know, the battle for third, it's another battle of clean air because they're a little bit further back. Cully's still maintaining in front of Osmer, but Osmer has closed in as Hayes, I'm just wondering if he's ever going to use that front bumper, but not quite yet. But back side by side for the lead. Hayes gets to nose ahead out of turn number 4, slides it out of the corner, trying to pinch Jeff Wright off the corner, but the 48 leads once again that lap by 100th of a second. Here comes the dive bomb. Here comes the crossover. Back and forth between two of the best in the series.
And Connor, I cannot help but imagine how intense this will be whenever we get up there around lap 150. If we're already seeing this type of battle forming here so early within the first 20 laps of this race.
Meanwhile, back for 11th, Bailey Turner working on Ray Massey, but the battle for the lead is still the hottest on the track, side by side. That time Hayes led that lap as Turner gets the position. Wright tried to dive it into turn number 1 up ahead to get back in front of Hayes, but couldn't quite do it. So the second official, or the second side-by-side battle lead change, I should say. Brody Hayes gets the lead back. And here comes the battle for third. Osmer finally got to the inside of Jace Cully for third, and he's going to get that position. So he'll put the 20 up to P3 as Jeff Wright loses some ground at a turn number 4.
Osmer finally around Coley. We'll see if he has anything to say about these leaders up here, if he can close that gap that's nearly 2 seconds to the leader. Osmer, he's shown a great pace all season long. He's been a contender up here in multiple races, just unable to claim that top step of the podium so far this season. Tonight might be the night that we see Osmer get that trophy.
Jeff Wright tapped the wall out of 4 again, but I think he was able to keep it straight. Still no damage, but it looks like Hayes has the pace right now, as Osmer really the only driver running that aggressive apron line as the battle goes from 3rd to 4th, as Cully looks to be losing some pace as some shade comes over the Magic Mile. Cully trying to hold off Dennis Faircloth for the 4th position, as there goes the 80 using that apron line to his advantage. A little bit more grip down there probably than the middle as they get tight side by side for this position. But that outside line, even with the little banking we have, you'll get that run off the corner and be able to defend a lot easier up there.
Faircloth needs right now is to get clear and put the slide job on the 65. That's the wrong type of slide. As the back end comes out from around the 80, he loses all that ground he just made, but he does complete the pass. It's not quite the gap that he was looking to put on Jace Coley out of that turn number 2.
But he is able to get the spot, put him up to the 4th position, and that battle allowed Kost and Chris Zimmer to join that fray just a little bit. Quick note, Jake Mackey, Mahalski, they've both gotten back on track, so all 19 drivers running again, both of them 8 laps down, so there is a battle for the lucky dog. But Todd Giles Jr. not too far ahead of Brody Hayes, who's starting to open up a little bit of a gap over the 48 machine.
You did mention that you thought Osmer was the only one running that aggressive apron line. I just saw the 63 of Max Kost take that line through 1 and 2. We'll see if he does it again here. And looks like he's gonna take it pretty reserved behind Coley. He's gonna drop it down through turn number 2, a little bit lower. Did not hit the apron though.
Whoa, Cody Atkins almost went around off of turn number 2. I was about to note how he had the fastest lap out of anyone in the top 8 last lap, and he just threw a lot of time away. That thing, you could see the numbers, it was so sideways, but he's able to keep a hold of it in 8th position for now.
Take it back here on the VSPEED instant replay. Coming down the front stretch here. 55. Kind of that middle line right there, right in the groove.
Right there, hits the apron and
goes.
whoa!
Saved it, collected it all back up.
And you could see why it happened. He put the left front on exit on the apron, and it just got the car sideways, but he does a whale of a job holding onto it. Problem is he lost some decent time doing so, and he's closer to the back bumper of Dallas Sullivan. As the battle for 5th heating up a little bit, Faircloth pulling away as Cully continues to fade outside the top 3. He might even be outside the top 5 soon enough. The only question is, will it be Kost or will it be Simmer passing him, because both of them look pretty fast in comparison right now.
That they do, and time lost. Jeff Wright now a half-second back from Brody Hayes. Brody Hayes putting down some incredible lap times. Now a big send on the inside from the 63. He'll be able to get door-to-door with Jace Coley before turn number 1. Does not look like it's going to happen. Max Kost still stuck in that 6th spot for the moment.
Not quite able to do so. He'll get clean air on the nose, going to the bottom of the racetrack on corner exit. You can see he gets a pretty good run doing so. It's not enough to get to the bumper of Cully for the time being, but he's going to look. He's going to give the nose a look into turn number 3 just to show the 65 that he's there, and he's going to paint that blue and white line along the apron, trying to get some extra grip using the paint line like Harvick would at Atlanta. Doesn't have quite the same effect, and here comes the crossover for Simmer for the 6th position.
Smart there on the inside, that 77 VSPEED machine. Max Kost stuck behind the 65. Are we going to see 3 wide? No, Kost unable to get the momentum. Jace Coley drives away from both of them for the time being, but Samard collects a position here. Now he's in the 6th spot.
Samard up to 6th, so if a 77 is not in 7th, so no 777s for the time being. As if only Atkins was in 5th and then Samard was in 7th, that'd be great, but not the point. 30 laps just about to be completed here. Hayes, Wright, Osmer, Faircloth, and Jace Cully, the top 5. Samard, Kost, Atkins, Sullivan, and James Loveland rounding out the top 10. But for how much longer will he be there? Bailey Turner's charge from the rear continues, as just 30 laps in, he is about to crack the top 10.
Now, one thing I did not get to collect information on, which I try to do week by week, is what are we looking at for fuel runs here? Did not get to hit the race analysis here pre-race, so we might as well pull that up and talk about it. We've already talked about quite a bit of it here, but 150 laps. We got a pit road speed of 45 miles per hour. 4 tire sets available here tonight. 3 green-white checkered temps and that 80% fuel load that we're used to with the standard iRacing fixed setup here for race number 11. So not a whole lot of different information that we can provide other than what we've already talked about, but it's always nice to get that on screen.
if I had to guess, will probably be, if it goes green, we'll probably see 2 stops. Would be surprised to see anyone make it to lap 75 on a single tank of fuel. So I expect to see drivers around lap 50 as here goes Turner around the apron trying to get the 10th position. He will do so. Loveland gives it up, so Turner into the top 10. And while we were going over the optics of the fuel, Chris Simard made it into the top 5 by Jace Cully for that position as he starts to pull away from the 65 as Cost not able to really do anything with the 65 at this point. And another battle forming, the battle for 8th, Atkins and Sullivan. They've been glued to each other this entire run so far, as that might end up being the closest battle on the racetrack in a few laps.
I think for the moment it already is the closest battle besides the Loveland-Turner battle, just 1 spot behind. But man, if there's one thing I can say about the 77 Connor is he is always sneaky with his ability to save tires at tracks like this. So seeing him up here in the top 5, 3 positions gained so far, I'm not too surprised by that. We might end up seeing him up there in a podium position in a few more laps.
Just trying to look at the lap times right now. He's pretty fast, but kind of even with most of the drivers besides him in the top 5 is behind him. Here goes Cost looking for 6th. Goes to the inside of Jace Cully just ahead of this battle. So the battle for 6th is the closest battle on the track. As close as it can be side by side up off of the corner. Cully not trying to give it up, but his tires have been fading a long time this run already. And Cost is just trying to make him the next victim of his charge up to the front of the field. Is he going to be able to do it out of the corner? 65, just no rubber off the corner, and Cost is just about complete with this pass.
Cost finally able to get around the 65 for the moment. He's a little bit higher on the racing surface, but that will give him that drive off to fully clear Jace Coley. And that pass took Cost about 10 or 12 laps to complete.
Shows how tough it is to do at a track like New Hampshire. It's probably one of the hardest tracks to pass on in iRacing, and the racing has been improved since we got the new art update, got some new grip updates to go along with that, but this is still an incredibly hard track to pass at. Track position still matters a decent amount, and right now Brody Hayes still has it, but I have noted Jeff Wright closed in the gap a little bit the last few laps. Not into a battle yet, not like we're seeing with Cully and Atkins, and even Sullivan in there as well, but it was over half a second. It's a little bit under it at this point, as we got 4 cars under a blanket, 7th on back. Bailey Turner not too far behind either.
Right now, what we're looking at is the 63 of Max Cost leading this small train.
There
The
goes
65 looking to the inside. He's going to get door to door. And a little bit better of a drive there through the middle of the corner, but has to woe it up here. I believe now we've got a... Is that some lap traffic here in front of Cost
Yes.
now?
And some lap traffic. Was going to know Todd Giles did go 1 lap down, so he's in the lucky dog spot, but he will pose an issue with this battle as they're looking 3 wide. Atkins trying to get to the outside of all of them. They're going to run out of room. Contact, Cost, and Cully come together. Big contact there. They all keep it straight. Here goes Sullivan. Bailey Turner joins the fight. This is getting frisky. More contact. Sullivan and Atkins hit right rear to left front. Sullivan almost back in the Cost. Cully gets in front of all of them right before the 14 joins the fun as lap traffic. Now Atkins and Turner side by side for the 9th position as the 24 trying to pick all these drivers off in order to get to the front faster.
Hey, you might as well if you've got 8 positions already under wraps.
Whoa.
Oh, nearly contact
Ways.
for the 24 and the 46. Man, Turner on an absolute tear right now.
Man. 14 does the classy move, gets out of the way, so this battle is going to be all natural without the interference from the 14 as Sullivan went way up the track in 3 and 4 trying to make a line work that wasn't there. Couldn't make it work. Turner by Sullivan looking to the inside of Max Cost up the racetrack, hit the bumps right there, almost into the side of Costas. Cully has gotten some new life as of late, back by the 63 trying to pull away from this battle before Bailey Turner gets there as dead even heat in the turn number 3 for that 7th position. Cost up the track, Turner dives it in, but the 24 up to the 7th position.
Bailey Turner on the drive of a lifetime. Started back in 17th, now up in 7th, threatening the 6th place position. He's going to have some speed later on in this race. If Turner comes across a caution at this point, he is fully in this ball game.
And what a move that was. Entered high, exited low, got a big run on Jace Cully, put him up to the 6th position, and now he's got clean air to work with. It's going to be another at least 4 seconds before he even comes close to getting Chris Simard. And speaking of Simard, the battle behind Turner's still hot, but Simard has caught Dennis Faircloth for that 4th position. Maybe a matter of time before he makes a move. He's been tenths, a 1 to 2 tenths per lap faster as that battle heats up. The one with Cost, Atkins, Sullivan, even James Loveland's in this battle. It is still, they're still going at it back there.
It's a heated battle back here around that 10th place position, starting with 8th of Cost, all the way back to, I would even throw Ray Massey in this mix. He's closing in pretty quick too.
And that's even with right front damage he suffered on the first 3 laps of this race from that mini stack up. Still able to hold on to 12th, pretty much where he started, only a position back as Cost, after he got by the 65, looks to start struggling again. Here comes Atkins trying to get the position from the 63. Another dive into turn number 3. They're almost going to come together. Atkins clears Max Cost, gets the spot. Here comes Dallas Sullivan trying to follow him through. Cost loses 2 positions and 1 set of corners, but not quite yet. He's hanging onto the right rear quarter panel of Sullivan. They almost made contact. Now he has to lift out.
And I was starting to think we were going to see some 3-wide action here. It was a narrow one. We still might see some 3-wide action here if Sullivan and Cost can catch back up to Cody Atkins in that 55 and Jace Coley right ahead of Atkins.
And if my calculations are correct, just by going off what I think the fuel is going to do, we shouldn't be too far away from green flag pit stops. We're only about 6 laps away from lap 50. Big wiggle from Loveland. Chase it to the inside wall just about, but keeps it straight. He's going to lose time to the 63, though.
Lost time to Max Cost and also gave Ray Massey in that 23 right behind a glimmer of hope, although damaged. He was able to close that gap by about 0.2 of a second from that wiggle from Loveland.
Looks like this battle, while still not over, starting to calm down a little bit more than what it was. Still Simard getting a little closer to the rear bumper of Dennis Faircloth, and Faircloth has been committed to that lower line, using the paint on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get some grip, but you can see Simard just has a lot more grip out of the corner using the higher line. Here he comes, looking to be inside for the 4th position. Faircloth gives him a ton of room, maybe trying to use the outside to get the run off the corner. Exactly what he'll do. He fired it up, hit the throttle hard in the center of the corner to keep that position, so he'll hang on for the time being.
Really thought Simard had that one done.
We'll see if he can do the same thing out of turn number 2. He's got another good run to the bottom, but not quite enough to get side by side with Faircloth. Battle for 7th heats up again. Atkins to the inside of Jace Cully. As the 55 starts to move up, he'll get the 7th position, just barely clear of the 65. He gets a little bit of a tap into the corner from Jace Cully there. Sullivan looking on, hoping he doesn't become a casualty of this battle, but Cully has nothing else to fight with off of turn number 4. And here comes Sullivan with a big run into turn number 1. Not able to do anything with it. Meanwhile, Simard still right on the bumper of Faircloth. A full straightaway ahead of this battle pretty much is the battle for 4th. As another battle, there's battles everywhere on this racetrack. You got Atkins trying to go to the front. You got Ray Massey trying to move up past Cost. This is for the 11th position, and Justin Carrion is right in this battle. Jake Maki looking on 8 laps down behind this battle.
Meanwhile, Bailey Turner up there in 6th. He has closed that 4-second gap to about 3.5, so he's got the pace. Last time by, he was about a 1/10 slower than Simard. Bit of traction issues finally starting to come into play for the 24, but right at a third of the way through this race, Connor, I would have to say we are within about 10 laps of this first pit cycle of the night.
We're pretty darn close to it, that's for sure. Throughout all this, since he took the lead back on around lap 20, Brody Hayes has kept that lead. Jeff Wright, oh man, big wiggle from Faircloth, but he keeps it straight. Wright had been staying within half a second, but he's fallen off a little bit. Ronnie Osmer has been starting to pressure the 48 a little bit, and speaking of pressure, he's going to be pressured to bring it on the pit road. So the first front runner to come down is Jeff Wright, and he does it exactly at lap number 50.
Jeff Wright, I also noticed he locked him up there on pit road entrance. We'll have to keep an eye on him, see if he made that 45-mile-an-hour pit speed coming into that.
Comes Max Cost.
Any caution or penalties.
Cost is in for his stop as well, so the pit stop's already started as the battle for what is now third goes on. Faircloth hits the wall down the straightaway, trying anything he can to keep this position before he has to make his stop. Simard dives hard into turn number 3, and Faircloth decides, hey, I'm done with this. I'm going to bring it down the pit right now. Ronnie Osmer did the same thing.
Brody Hayes is going to leave it out here for the time being. He felt comfortable with that lead.
A lot of pit stops.
Trying to put it down a little bit more.
And a lot of drivers came down that time. Dallas Sullivan, Jace Cully, Ray Massey, Justin Carey, also Todd Giles Jr., who's a lap down, and Ryan Gemmel also. And Hayes will have to respond with that many drivers pitting. So here comes the race leader back on the pit lane. Well, on the pit lane for the first time. Simard follows him in. That'll carry over to lead the Bailey Turner for the first time tonight.
So Bailey Turner currently sits at 16 positions gained with this pit cycle taking place. We'll go around one more time, Shirley, to make sure he gets that lap led here tonight. The bonus points are going to be a big factor. We're 2 races away from the end of the regular season, including this race here tonight. It's all about the points game here.
Going to come down. It's going to be pretty important. Just looking at the race off pit road, Jeff Wright has jumped Brody Hayes, but he's been jumped. I don't know if he's been jumped by the 20. Not quite sure. Looks like Osmer did not really get off the pit road the way he wanted to. Bailey Turner stays on the racetrack, meanwhile, trying to get some more laps led. Jeremiah Vincent, another driver, is still waiting on him to come down the pit lane.
Free offense. 54 laps out here on the tires and the fuel, same as Bailey Turner. Only 2 drivers to not bring it down to the pits so far. Outside of the drivers that did have some damage, Jake Mackey, Noah Mahalski, out 35 laps for them right now, but with good reason.
And this is Bailey Turner. I mean, we know he's coming from the back. He wants to have some sort of advantage on these guys, probably trying to get fresher tires for this middle run of the race and try to gain more time on the guys who have dominated this race. Specifically, Brody Hayes, Jeff Wright, and Ronnie Osmer, who have come out pretty much right next to each other. And here comes the 24 for his first pit stop of the day. Jeremiah Vincent maybe will get the lead a lap, or at least lead for a little while. It won't be for very long because Jeff Wright is right on the bumper. Pretty much out of 4, he might get this done. As the 3, another one of those drivers carrying damage from that little stack up down the back. The rear end of that car severely pushed in. As he will, I don't know if he'll officially get a lap. He will not. So technically, he will never have led, and Jeff Wright will take the point.
Vincent just unable to get there before Bailey Turner was able to cross that start-finish line. So Turner got one more lap led before Wright came flying by the 3. And now Hayes off in the distance behind here, has a whole lot of ground to make up. It's Vincent into the wall out of turn number 4. Hayes is going to have to be smart with this pass here. So he gets an opening and takes it immediately. No sense in messing around with that.
And what a pit cycle for Jeff Wright. He pit a little bit earlier, and he's got a 1.5-second lead because of it. And not a good cycle for Ronnie Osmer. He was right on the bumper of those top 2, and he's 2 seconds behind Jeff Wright and a full second behind Brody Hayes. So not a good cycle for him, as I thought he was going to come down back to pit lane. He was so low. He would have been under the commitment line if he wanted to, but that's just the line he's been running. Been very aggressive with it. He just hasn't been able to crack the code to get into the top 2 in front of the 48 and 37 quite yet. As things cycling out, you got your top 10 right there. Still waiting on Jeremiah Vincent, but the top 10 for the most part. Oh, we got a spin off of turn number 2. Caution is out, and it's Todd Giles Jr., who was 2 laps down in 17th, who spins out. And that is our first caution of the night.
So that's exactly what Brody Hayes wanted to see there. That way he could get right back up to Jeff Wright without having to waste much tire. Let's take it back on the VSPEED instant replay and see what happened to the 14 here out of turn number 2.
Also what Jeremiah Vincent wanted to see. He didn't even take a set of tires. You see a little snippet of it there as we'll go around another lap. Once again, he has been 2 laps down to this point. 17th position. he would have gotten a lucky dog, but he's the cause of yellow, so I don't know. I think it might end up being the 13 of Jake Mackey who gets the lucky dog. We'll just have to wait and see. Mountain Dew number 14.
By the guidelines of iRacing, that should go to Jake Mackey, but there it is, just loose out of turn number 2. Able to lock it down, and a little bit of damage on the front, but not a whole lot. Could have been way worse for Todd Giles. He's going to be able to back it up off the wall, likely bring it down to pit road, get some of that damage repaired from that. He should be good to go.
And meanwhile, that's going to make this a whole new race, because even though most drivers just came in not too long ago, you still want the fresh rubber. It makes a big difference. Bailey Turner will stay on the track and assume the race lead because he had only pit 2 to 3 laps ago, but everyone else is going to get a fresh set of tires here. Jeff Wright wins the race off pit road, then it's Hayes, Osmer 3rd, and then a big gap back to Samard in 4th, which this is a big reset for him in the 77 as well. The Faircloth, Sullivan, Cully, Atkins, Loveland, and everyone else files off the pit lane. But our first stoppage of the day means our first restart of the day.
Nothing wrong with a couple restarts, you know. BTDY has been very good at keeping it clean and green for the majority of their races so far this season. This race not breaking away from that standard. 60 laps in, 1 caution. I was starting to think that we might go this one full green.
To be the case tonight, as I believe, like you said, Maki did get the lucky dog, so he's now 6 laps down. Todd Giles stays 2 laps down. Mahalski has brought it back off the racetrack. We'll see if he gets back on, but he left the track a while ago after being 8 down due to damage. We are 1 to go. We're getting ready to restart. Bailey Turner, the race leader. He has about 2 to 3 lap old tires. He pit on lap number, trying to look at this off the top of my head, but I can't. He was pit on lap 55, so the tire is maybe 3 to 4 laps old, but he will take the track position over another fresh set, and he'll take the top on the restart, which could be rough for Jeff Wright being stuck on the bottom. We'll just have to wait and see. But this is the furthest Brody Hayes has been back all race. Brings Osmer back into it, brings Simard into it, who's been very fast long run. We'll see who else can make a difference as we still got 89 laps to go. The pace car off into the Geico restart zone. Turner gets us started again. We're back racing.
Turner got a big jump there on right into turn number 1. It's side by side for Brody Hayes and Ronnie Osmer right behind.
Oh, sideways back there. Jace Cully and the 55 as well. Cody Atkins lost all his track position. Another big slide for him off of 2. Big contact for 3rd. Osmer and Brody Hayes came together. Big contact there. Not a good restart for Hayes, but he does get the 3rd position. Osmer into the wall. Side by side, Simard and Faircloth for the 5th position at the same time, as Turner trying to keep the lead, but Jeff Wright all over the rear bumper. All sorts of action on this restart. Here comes Jeff Wright for the lead.
Jeff Wright getting buried loose on those fresh tires out of that turn number 2. That transition from the apron back to the racing surface proving treacherous. It's nearly door to door for Wright and Turner. Brody Hayes!
Osmer hard into the outside wall. Dallas Sullivan nowhere to go, and Ray Massey piles in hard as well. And that was not pretty. We got our 2nd caution just as quickly as we got our 1st, and the man who's led the most laps today, Brody Hayes, possibly out of this race.
Get back a little bit further here. I believe we're the lap before now on this replay. Brody Hayes here. There's that contact for Osmer, so we got 1 more lap around here.
Just wonder if Osmer was upset about how that battle out of 4 went that time, because they made pretty hard contact into 3 the lap before this. They get away all good. The battle for the lead's on. Hayes looking onto it, and you see Osmer take that bottom line that he's been taking all night long. And just drifts up into the Brody Hayes machine. Hayes hard into the outside wall. Nowhere for Sullivan to go. And then nowhere for Ray Massey to go right there. And 2 big hits to the 37. Possibly takes him out of this race prematurely. There's a huge, huge change in this race.
Let's take it back here. Get an onboard with Sullivan. About right here is the contact up there with the white car on the inside. All the smoke, just can't see it. You're expecting that car to come off the wall a little bit more than what it did.
Ooh.
Just a big stack up, claiming likely 2 cars. That's a lot of damage for Dallas Sullivan to recover from. A lot of damage for Brody Hayes. I think even Ray Massey might be at risk of... he looks all right. Massey might be okay after that.
Yeah, somehow the nose doesn't look as bad as it did for the 23, or at least I thought it would. But I think the biggest hits definitely came to the 37 of Brody Hayes, who immediately reset off the racetrack. Ronnie Osmer does get the end-of-line penalty for that one. And yeah, that was a little interesting because he had the contact out of 4 the lap into 3, and out of 4 the lap before. And they had more contact. That takes a big contender in this race out of the running. And just as quickly as we went yellow, we're about ready to go back green. Didn't even note who got the race lead out of that. It could have been either one because we saw the 24 take the lead on the restart. I believe Jeff Wright is our race leader, so he picks the bottom. The 24 and older tires back to second, not in control of this restart. And that one, that lucky dog, by the way, went to Todd Giles Jr. He's back 1 lap down. Massey and Sullivan are on track. Brody Hayes is not, so he might be our second retirement of this race. Second restart coming up here. Pace car off track. Wright and Turner lead them to green into the restart zone. We're back green once again.
Wide back here, about the 10th place position. Man, Osmer sent it way low on that one.
Trying to get that apron line to work to get back through the field. Didn't really get much out of it. He'll get by Jeremiah Vincent, but plenty more work to do as Jeff Wright, with one of his competitors off the track, the other one starting at the rear of the field. This could be a big opportunity for the 48 to open up a lead here with older tires on the 24 machine sitting in second. Big slide job from Cully for the 3rd position. Faircloth gives him the crossover back.
Faircloth saw it coming and set up perfectly for it. Now he'll have the inside line going into 3. Will he be able to do anything with it? Bailey Turner way high on the racetrack, a lot slower than he'd like to be. Not able to close any sort of a gap on the 48 machine, but it's a scramble behind.
How about Cully? He made the way outside line work in 3 and 4 to get back in front of the 80. He'll look for second right on the bumper of the Celsius Chevrolet Camaro. As like you said, it is a frenzy really everywhere behind Faircloth. Atkins, the 55, slid again. Here goes Vincent to his outside, but he kept it straight. And not much progress yet for Ronnie Osmer, the only driver really trying to pass on the bottom right now. It's bumper to bumper otherwise, as big wiggle from the 80 off of turn number 4, almost hit the wall. Osmer still trying to make time up quickly, but still over half of this race to go.
Justin Carey making a move there on the 5 of Alan Dice. On the inside, will he be able to make it stick? Sliding out for the 21. He's not going to be able to get the traction that he needs. Now a threat to Ryan Gimmel coming around the outside. Osmer to the inside, nearly 3 wide, 3 and 4. We are 3 wide.
How's this going to sort out with Osmer coming from the bottom? Carey has to lift out of it. He almost ran Gemmel out of room. We are 3 wide down the front straightaway with Max Cost almost daring to make it 4 as they stay 3 wide into turn number 1. Incredible battle. Osmer's going to maybe get them both. He is almost clear, and he is clear. What a pass all the way up to the 8th position just like that. Carey's going to be the big loser. Here comes Max Cost for a couple positions.
Max Cost enters the equation following that same line of Ronnie Osmer. He's taking notes back there in the 63 machine. Man, what a sequence there for those 2 drivers.
Whoa, Atkins and Vincent, they come into contact into turn number 1. Those 2 almost wrecked at the back of the field running for the 12th position. They keep it straight. I don't think this is done. They're going to make more contact at a turn number 2. And this is getting a little ugly, the 55 and 3. Coming to blows here just before the halfway point.
Door-to-door racing at the Magic Mile. And it's not even for the lead. Back here for the 12th position.
Atkins was running better in this race, but he's got to regroup after having some slides added too. Osmer just had maybe the biggest send of the night to the apron of the racetrack. and he's going to get a few more positions. He gets by Gemmel, stays ahead of Gemmel, and got Alan Dice for the 7th position. And here comes Gemmel trying to take advantage to get that 8th position from the number 5. Side by side into the corner, the first side by side battle on track. Jeff Wright opening a little bit of a gap up for the race lead as Gemmel gets by the 5 machine.
Took it back there to check out that Osmer move that you had mentioned, and man, just an expert at hugging that apron so far this race. Really the only one that's been able to make it work or really felt comfortable enough to attempt it.
Yeah, definitely the only one that felt comfortable doing it. He's going to continue to do it as long as it works, as he's gotten his way from the tail end back up to 7th position. Next on his list, maybe about half a second ahead, is James Loveland, who's worked his way up into 6th position. He's done a good job moving his way up. He started back into 13th position, so good climb for him. Only trumped by Bailey Turner, who's 17th at 2nd. Once again, different strategy, did not pit after the first yellow of the race, but still able to hold on to his 2nd position, even with the older tires. The other big contender in this race, Chris Samard, he got on even ground with the 48, and we had the yellows to catch him back up. He's trying to stake his claim into running for the win as we cross the halfway point. 75 laps down, 75 to go, as the battle for 4th gets even tougher for the 80 and 77.
Go-to of Loveland closing that gap. Right now, Samard and Faircloth unable to get away from being side by side. What's it gonna take, Connor, to complete some passes here and work through this field? We've seen drivers able to do it. Contact of the wall for Coley right in front of Samard and Faircloth. It's about to make that a battle for 3rd if Coley keeps making contact with that wall and slowing up to 65.
A few drivers kind of follow him into the wall there as well. I think Loveland got a piece. I think you're probably going to have to start thinking about using the bumper as it gets harder to pass as this race goes on, but we'll just wait and see. We'll just wait and see if possibly any of these drivers are willing to do that. We haven't seen it quite yet. We had the contact with Osmer and Hayes, but didn't really think it was intentional, and it wasn't really a bump and run either, as this track is known for having bumpers be used every now and then, but none so quite yet, as there's really no threat of that yet, as Jeff Wright got a few tenths of a second on Bailey Turner for the lead, and it's even further back to Jace Cully, who Samard is now trying to work his way around for the 3rd position.
On the inside of the 20 of Osmer now, as he is still working that inside line. He's closed that gap up to the 02 of Loveland. Side by side through 3 and 4, just couldn't get the drive off to keep it door to door down the front stretch. This is what we're talking about here for Osmer. Well, I say that as he does end up missing his typical corner entry, but finally gets back down there to the apron. Osmer putting on a clinic whenever it comes to running that low line.
And up ahead of him, here comes Samard to the inside of Jace Cully for that 3rd position. He drifts it up the track a little bit, maybe trying to run the 65 a little higher than he wants to go. He did go higher than he wanted to go. Cully, Faircloth, Loveland, all into the outside wall. So Osmer gets the 6th position. Here he goes for 5th. Big dive on the 80th Faircloth as Samard holds the slide job. 65 tries to line up the crossover, won't do it. Samard up to 3rd as Faircloth tries to fend off his top 5 position, but Osmer is charging.
Osmer's got a whole lot of speed. We might have to start calling that the Osmer line. I mean, Larson has a line named after him. Why not the Osmer line?
Well, he definitely used up the 80 that time to make his line work. Don't know if Faircloth's going to be too happy about that, but regardless, Osmer up into the top 5 back from starting tail end on the most recent restart. But here comes Faircloth, big run to the outside. He's going to try to battle back for that position, but ran out of room as the 55 and 3, they have not stopped battling since we took our eyes off them. Still in a fierce battle for 12th with Justin Carey not too far ahead.
Cody Atkins finally able to complete a pass and get some sort of a headway here on the 3. Now he can focus on the back bumper of the 21, just a half second ahead, less than a half second ahead.
That's going to settle out for the time being. Osmer clear of Faircloth for that 5th position, has his sights set on Jace Cully for 4th as Samard starts to pull away from 4th on back. He was a touch faster than Jeff Wright and Bailey Turner last time by, but only by a few thousandths of a second, excuse me.
He's going to need a lot more than just a few thousandths if he wants to close that 1 second gap to the leader. But right now, he's got a rear view mirror full of race cars. It's Osmer and Dennis Faircloth still side by side here. Osmer with his favorable line in play. Just, man, nearly contact as the 65 goes sideways. Now Faircloth into the wall.
I was about to say, that bottom line not working as well because the 80 of Faircloth was able to get back to his outside, but then the 65 kind of took the clean air off Osmer's nose, and it kind of cost Faircloth room off the corner. So that battle subsides, goes to the side again. Osmer clear for 5th fully. Now full attention to the inside of the 65 for this top 4 position. As the top 2, just like we saw in the first run of the race, start to pull away from 3rd on back just a little bit. 3.5 tenths separating Jeff Wright from Bailey Turner. Here goes Osmer running that apron once again as Turner tries to close in with older tires in the 48. Can't make it work quite yet. Osmer once again also still not able to make this bottom work to get this spot away.
Could be a good opportunity, and as I'm saying that, Osmer side by side now. Contact made. Sends Osmer down the racetrack, but nothing doing. Contact further back though. That's the 55.
Atkins.
Atkins.
I think he had a self-spin a little bit, similar to what he did at a turn number 2, but that time he caught the wall a pretty decent bit. We stayed green, but he had a bit of a moment there for sure. And he's back into the 13th position after that. Oh, big slide job, almost contact there. Osmer just forced the issue. He said, you know what, I'm done with this battle. I'm clearing you now. And he sure did, but he hit the wall out of the corner. McCulley not able to get back to the inside. That was a power move. He was done with that battle.
Take a look right here. We'll get on the nose, rather. Oh, my goodness.
I'll tell you what, Cully cut him a break. You could see him kind of lift out of it there once he saw what was about to possibly happen. Definitely cutting Ronnie Osmer a break, but 20 will take it. Sometimes you got to take advantage of the drivers on the racetrack that you know will give you the benefit of the doubt. That was a certain point where that happened. It gets Osmer the spot. Now the battle's for 6th. Here comes Loveland looking to be outside of Faircloth.
Faircloth holds that low line that Osmer's been using all race long, but dirty air off the back end of the 65 is no help, as we're still side by side. The 0-2 of Loveland around the outside has all of the momentum that he wants, but both of them high on the track through 3 and 4.
The only side-by-side battle on the racetrack right now, and obviously the closest battle on the racetrack, and Loveland showing some real speed in the second half of this race, put him up into the top 6. As we got 13 drivers lead lap. Ray Massey running 14th, 1 down. Todd Giles Jr. 2 down. Jake Mackey still 6 down, and 3 drivers off the racetrack. Noah Mahosky, Brody Hayes, who had led almost the entirety of this race before the second caution, and Dallas Sullivan, who got big damage out of that crash, also took his car behind the wall for the rest of this race. As Giles goes that third lap down, I should say, as Loveland, like you said, showing some real speed here. He's looking for a top 5.
Connor, I'd like to take a moment, if we have another yellow flag come out, we'll take a look at the points once more and see what kind of implications this race has on the 46, the 37, and the 03. Since they're already off the track, obviously not going to be a good points day for them. Can't quite remember where they're at in the standings. Not going to be favorable going into the last race of the regular season.
I can tell you right now, Brody Hayes came into tonight 12th in points, about 6 points behind the cut line, so not the day he needed. He was just a point behind Cody Atkins, who's still on track, but running in the 13th position. And Mahosky was 6th in points. He was about 20 points to the good, so this won't really hurt him as bad as it could have for the 0-3. When it comes to Dallas Sullivan, he was 13th, really a point behind Brody Hayes, so the 46 and 37 days they did not need, but for Mahosky, a day he could at least afford going into Charlotte.
Cody Atkins battling once more with a 3 of Jeremiah Vincent, was able to complete that pass back there in turns 3 and 4. For the rest of the field, we're pretty well single-filed out right now. The closest battle, James Loveland all over the back bump of the 65 of Coley once more. To be able to get the momentum he needs around the outside. Big slide for Loveland. Looks to the inside. Does not make the dive into turn number 1.
It almost looked like what we saw in the first run of the race, where Cully started off strong but started to fade as the tires were out more. And keep in mind, we still have at least one more pit stop, and everyone's got at least one more set of tires sitting in the pits. No Jeremiah Vincent, he might be the only driver with an extra set. We'll see if that comes into play, but it hasn't came into play quite yet, as we are still over 50 laps away from the conclusion of this race. Jeff Wright continues to lead, and as I say that, Dennis Faircloth pits from 7th. A lot earlier than I anticipated anyone pitting, but the 80's on the pit lane.
Looking for the bit of a undercut here for the 80
I'll
machine.
say. It's a big undercut, I'll say. And we saw pit stops last around lap number 60. So this is maybe not too far off than what we might have thought. He could probably make it to the end from here, but definitely a little bit off sequence from everyone else. Lights the rears up on the pit lane. He will go a lap down. And he will be hoping this goes fully green, because any yellow will really hurt him. He will be in the lucky dog spot, but definitely going to get off sequence here. Try something different.
Well, if it's not working right now, you might as well give it a try. All these cars back in the pack, single filed out. Making their way there to turns number 3 and 4. Meanwhile, our leader, Jeff Wright, entering turn number 1, followed closely by the 24 turner.
Maybe this isn't as off sequence as I initially thought. Here comes Ronnie Osborne. He just bit lap number 95, coming to 96. So the second driver in the top 10 to come down to pit, and Osborne, one of the key players in the rest of this race. Look how high this groove is getting. You don't see him run there very often, but that is where this line has gravitated. Really, what we've been saying, Osborne's one of the few drivers making that apron line work for speed, but everyone else able to do it really above where the normal line is. You see in turns number 1 and 2, right in the middle, as Faircloth with fresh tires going around second place Bailey Turner. There goes Osborne off a pit lane, but even with the cool track temps that we have in Loudon today, still seeing a higher line really be the dominant line. With the little extra banking you have up there, it's making a big difference.
All the extra banking that you can get is going to be the difference in this race. Ronnie Osborne, he also came down the road. I don't know if he mentioned that. Back there in 13th now with some fresh tires. Let him work through this entire field, just like Faircloth and Ray Massey, both one lap, or all three one lap down. See if it pays off, that different strategy. Kind of, I don't know, maybe pulling out some secret notebook stuff.
So if you can make it to the end, which maybe they probably should be able to make it to the end on fuel from here, and if you value track position late in the race, this is the right play. You pit earlier than everyone else is going to and get the track position. And the only downside from that, it may be more of a driver than commentator, to be honest. I don't like the fending. You want to be on the attack at the end of these races, but we'll see if the 20 can make that work, or even if the 80 can make it work. We'll just have to see. Still waiting on majority of the leaders to come down the pit. Jeff Wright, probably the biggest gap we've seen for the race lead all day. 1.4 seconds back to Bailey Turner as the 55 so low on the racetrack. Once again, I thought he was pitting. He fooled me again. This is the battle for the 9th position between Atkins and Max Cost. This is for 9th as he almost made contact into the corner there, but Atkins gets the spot.
Connor, I was just happy to see Atkins battling somebody other than the 3 of Vincent.
Jeremiah Vincent, yeah.
I don't know if we've seen Atkins with a fight against anybody else yet. So that's what caught my attention.
Oh man, I had so many battles with Jeremiah Vincent years ago that it will always live in Outsiders Racing League history. That's a league that doesn't exist anymore. But man, the battles we had were crazy. Alan Dice is the 3rd driver under this green flag condition to come down to pit. He does it at lap 100, as he will be 3rd driver to come down and pit, as he will have a little fresher tires than the 20 and the 80. As Faircloth has gotten his lap back, Ronnie Osborne still working to get his lap back.
Osborne with only one more car to go before he's back on the lead lap. Jeff Wright is about second and a half ahead of Osmer. Bailey Turner about 1.8 back from the 48 machine. So Turner has fallen off the pace here he was hoping to have. Jeff Wright has absolutely picked it up. Free and clear for the time being. He's got some lap traffic just ahead.
Oh, man.
Won't be any sort of factor for the time being.
And this is definitely, you think Turner definitely has the speed, but definitely a product of having a little bit older tire. Even though it's only 3 to 4 laps, it does make a little bit of a difference. He's actually falling back closer to Chris Simard. I thought Simard would get to him earlier, but he has not quite been able to battle for the second position quite yet. But he is gaining ever so slightly. Battle for fourth has been bumper to bumper for a while between Cully and Loveland. Brian Gemmel alone in 6th. Justin Carey 7th. Atkins in 8th. He's cleared Max Cost and gotten away from the 63. As that battle for 9th actually going to heat up. Cost missed the entry to 3 a little bit. Jeremiah Vincent trying to look to be inside for the spot, but can't quite get there. Is still waiting on anyone else to make a pit stop.
Be interesting to see just how long these drivers are willing. Contact there for Loveland.
Yeah, that was a big hit. That was a big square hit the wall that time. That's one of those hits that might even do suspension damage, but visually looks okay, but he pounded that thing from the in-car cam. That's what it seemed like. He'll continue, try to still chase down this 65.
See if he has anything to say about it. But as I was saying there, it'll be interesting to see just how long these drivers will stretch out this stint. Some of them closing in on that 50-lap mark on these tires. Bailey Turner, next time by, will be the start of lap 50 for him. Jeff Wright, Chris Simard, Jace Coley, rest of the drivers following suit right there, about 45 laps deep on this stint. Might see, I don't know, there's so many different strategies you can go with here.
So comes a few more drivers, as we were talking about that. Justin Carey followed in by Max Koss, so 2 more lead lap drivers come in. With Jeff Wright, as he's opened up the biggest lead of the night, about 2.5 seconds. He has no reason to pit anytime soon. Until maybe in the next few laps, because here comes Simard, top 3 driver, enters the pits.
So Simard closed up that gap to about 0.3 of a second off the back bumper of Turner. Came down to pit lane instead of the battle.
We'll see where he comes out compared to Ronnie Osborne, Dennis Faircloth, and Alan Dice, who all pit multiple laps earlier. That'll really tell us where those guys who really short pit are going to be on strategy and on the racetrack, obviously. Wright and Turner, they stay out, kind of in their own league right now. Jace Cully over 8 seconds back of Jeff Wright right now when they cross the line. He's hovering around 7.7 right now, but you can see the difference between the top 3 and the rest of the field right now. Simard off of pit lane in the number 77. He actually gets out not too far behind Bailey Turner. So he will have to unlap himself, just like everyone else has had to.
Well, he's not far behind Turner, however, he is 6.5 seconds back from 9th place. Ronnie Osmer's already pitted about 13 laps ago, so we'll likely see him remain on the track for the rest of this race, barring a caution.
Jeff Wright's quality is dropping. He's off the timing and scoring sheet. We've seen this happen to him in multiple leagues before. Even Bailey Turner had a blink there, but I don't think Jeff Wright's going to survive this one. We might see another key point in this race, and this one might be due to internet issues. Bailey Turner, if Jeff Wright doesn't come back, is all of a sudden sitting with a 6-second lead.
Jeff Wright's been gone for so long now. He's fallen all the way to 13th on the timing and scoring. I'm not sure we're going to see him back.
Yeah, that quality continues to drop. This is another key contender with a big issue in this race, and nothing he can control. I think Bailey Turner is going to realize the advantage he has. He's just going to bring it to pit road to fend off the 77, so he will pit now. New race leader, all of a sudden, Bailey Turner, as he immediately hits pit lane. James Loveland follows him in. A huge turn of events.
That'll hand the lead over right now to Ryan Gimmel in that 6 machine. He's He's got really no contest for the position. Cody Adkins a little under 2.5 seconds behind. He's got some lap traffic behind the 6 of Gimmel. See him collect a bonus point here, but one thing to mention, Jeff Wright has won 6 races already in this regular season. He is locked in to the chase for the cup here in just a couple weeks. It's really, it's more just for bragging rights at that point. He does not quite have the regular season championship locked in. But ultimately, you want the big trophy at the end of the year.
Thankfully for him, Keith Maiato, 37 points back, didn't show up, so he's still going to gain on him. Samard will likely gain, but it won't be really enough to be a legit factor into Charlotte, but definitely not what he wanted to have happen. He's reconnected to the session after dropping out. He will be 3, 4, maybe even 5 laps down, and with multiple drivers laps down, he's likely not going to get back into this race. We've had some pit stops since that unfolded. Saw the 65 of Jace Cully come off the pit lane. James Loveland made his stop. Cody Atkins just made his stop. We're still waiting on Gemmel Vincent make the top 2 to pit. And at this moment, it would be Dennis Faircloth cycling out to the race lead, but Ronnie Osmer has caught him and is looking to make the pass.
Osmer within 1/4 of a second now of Faircloth through 3 and 4. See that 20 take it way low, cuts through the grass even with the left side. Big wiggle out of 4.
That's not what you want to do. You run yourself out of room pretty easily doing that, but he kept it somehow without making big contact with the wall. But definitely driving really hard, trying to get the clean air early as he can before the drivers who pit more on sequence like Samard and Bailey Turner get there. And meanwhile, Gemmel and Vincent yet the pit, and also Jeff Wright has gotten back on track. He's 3 laps down.
Going to continue to turn some laps here. We might see Wright collect another position if he can catch back up to the 14 of Todd Giles Jr. That's about as much as Wright's going to be able to put together here, even if we have a caution not in the lucky dog position. Adkins being the first in line for that. Massey 2 laps down. Giles, Wright 3. Jake Mackey 7 laps down. The remaining drivers there at the bottom of the ticker all off track. Sullivan, Hayes, Mahalski with the early exits.
Here goes Atkins getting his lap back, so put him tail end of a lead lap. 12 drivers lead lap. So now it puts Massey 2 laps down in the lucky dog position for the time being. But at the front, it's now a tale of 2 battles. You got the guys who short pit, Faircloth and Osmer battling for, right now, effectively the race lead. And a few seconds behind that, I'd say about 4 seconds behind that, you got Samard and Bailey Turner who pit more on sequence. They're going to battle it out for what is effectively right now 3rd. But if they can keep the pace up, it could be for the win with any of these battles, as Turner is lighting up the rear bumper of Samard, who had a big wiggle in the background out of turn number 4, and Turner's looking to pounce.
Turner with all the speed that he could ever want around the outside. He goes to the 77. 77 has to check up just a touch. Still door to door out of turn number 2. Turner finally with the advantage going into 3.
Turner gets the spot. He moves up in front of the 77 as they're side by side for 3rd. Faircloth and Osmer. Faircloth had a big wiggle out of 2, and he lost positioning. He lost time, big time. Osmer looks to the inside. How hard will he dive it in? Faircloth actually beat him to the corner, but here comes the move. He's in the grass. He's so low in turns 1 and 2. A little bit too low, as Faircloth is going to keep that spot. And the longer Osmer can't get by, the quicker Bailey Turner gains on both of them, as well as Chris Samard.
Turner and Samard in tow, trying to catch back up here for the top 3 positions. Ryan Gimmel, Jeremiah Benson still have not come down. We're just about 60 laps in for that 6th machine, about 55 for the 3 of Benson. Kind of start to question, do they have enough by chance to make it to the end? Surely not.
No chance. They last pit lap. Gemmel might have pit lap 65, but still not going to be even close to making it. Same thing for Jeremiah Vincent. They definitely still have 1 pit stop to go, as meanwhile Osmer, as I was looking at that, Osmer got the spot from Dennis Faircloth, which is now 3rd position, so put Ronnie Osmer a little fresher tires than Faircloth, but still way slower than Turner and Samard are at this point, but he's got clean air at the right time. That could be key, as looked like a big wiggle from Faircloth at some point that I personally missed, and Osmer was able to take advantage.
Osmer had a lot of speed coming down that back stretch. Was able to complete that pass before turn number 3. Saw that there on the VSPEED instant replay. Now with Ronnie Osmer sitting in 3rd. Once Gimmel and Vincent finally pit, will Bailey Turner have enough?
14. 14. Todd Giles off of turn number 4. This time, it's not going to bring out the caution. He did not spin out enough, so iRacing yellow does not trigger. That's the second time we've seen the 14 go around, though.
The camera at the other end of the track, I thought he
Another
got
wiggle.
into the pit barrels.
Just missed him. Hit the Geico restart zone wall. That's not how you used to restart zone, but it's been a rough day for the 14. He's now 5 laps down in the 15th position. But once again, we continue green flag running. Osmer into 3rd, but here comes Bailey Turner with a lot fresher rubber, getting to the inside of Dennis Faircloth for 4th, and that will be a pass done easily. And now there's nothing between the 20 and the 24.
We've got about a 15 lap difference on the tires between the 20 and the 24. Right now, about 0.3 of a second difference on the current lap times. We'll see as they go by here. Ronnie Osmer with a 31.089. Bailey Turner with a 30.7.
And that's the type of difference that it's just going to be very hard to defend if you're Ronnie Osmer, especially with still over 25 laps to go. Everyone's going to the end. There's no more pit stops without yellows, so these drivers, I mean, Osmer's going to have to make that Camaro very wide if he wants to keep this win, or keep this shot at a win and keep what is effectively going to cycle to be the race lead. Gemmel Vincent still waiting on them to pit. This is the battle for the victory right now. Osmer and Turner pulling away from Simard and Faircloth, who battle behind. Simard's going to get the spot from the 80, but here comes Turner. Big run out of turn number 2 for control of the race. Osmer slides a little off of turn number 2. Dead heat into turn number 3.
Turner's got that inside line that Osmer's been using all race. He hugs the apron, puts the slide job on. Will Osmer have enough?
Here comes a crossover. Not quite. Just doesn't have the grip. Bailey Turner in line to get control of this race. Ryan Gemmel did come down the pit, but Jeremiah Vincent stays out at least one more lap. Simard had a big wiggle into turn number 1. I thought he was hitting the wall, but keeps it straight. Bailey Turner past Ronnie Osmer. Could be the pass for the win.
Very well,
Wow.
might be.
Well, I was looking at a battle back ahead. James Loveland just got by Alan Dice. Dice is another one of those drivers who pit much earlier than the rest, as Osmer is way wide off of 4. He almost knocked the wall down, but he kept it straight. Loveland by Alan Dice for the 8th position. One, 2, 3, and 4. What will cycle out to be 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. It's another 7 seconds back to Jace Cully, who would cycle out to be in that 5th position. And at this point, Bailey Turner, definitely the beneficiary of the 48's internet or computer, whatever dropped out, but either way, he's not going to care. He sees the race lead only a second and a half away with just over 20 to go. He's trying to pull away.
On top of that being just a second and a half away, there's nearly a 50 lap difference on the tires. It is without a doubt that the 24 will catch the 3, barring we do not see another yellow.
And here comes Vincent. As we say, he's going to come down to pit, coming to 23 laps to go. New race leader is Bailey Turner, as Ryan Gemmel, who had just pit, also pulled off the track there. Couldn't see if he had a penalty or what, but he's pulled off track and he might be done for the race.
Back in the pits, we'll keep an eye on the time in the box. And already passed. Looks like Gemmel might have picked up a speeding in pits penalty. Way past that standard 14 or 15 second pit stall time. Already nearing 30 seconds now for the 6 machine in the box.
Might have gotten a speeding penalty, might have called it quits because of it. We'll see if he gets back on, but just like that, he does leave the session. So he's going to become the 4th retirement of this race, joining Mahalski, Hayes, and Dallas Sullivan in the garage area. We'll still be left with 15 drivers running on the racetrack, as here comes Vincent looking past Bailey Turner to get one of his laps back. Chris Simard still putting down pretty decent laps, but not in comparison of a 24 at this point. But he is faster than Ronnie Osmer, looking for the 2nd position. creeps a little bit closer to the rear bumper of the 20.
And Bailey Turner in a position right now with a lapped car. Just one lap down for Vincent. No issues will arise since Bailey Turner lets Vincent go by. No questions asked. He wants no mix-ups with that.
And at this point, this becomes the moment, the time in the race when you're leading like this, you're thinking something's going to go wrong. And if you're Bailey Turner, you're just waiting for something to happen, waiting for the yellow, waiting for a lap car to get in your way and hold you up, damage you, whatever. But still all clear out in front of him as Osmer slides it, dirt tracks it off the corner. That's what it would look like if they covered this track with dirt, which I'm sure they could do. But you can see Osmer's tires are struggling right now. Doing a lot better job than Faircloth. Faircloth's, oh man, Simard almost spun it out. I thought the 20 was struggling. Simard had a huge wiggle there off the corner. He's got the tires smoking. He keeps it straight, but I thought it was going to be relatively soon when he was going to pass Ronnie Osborne. Now he has a lot more work to do.
Let's take a quick look back at that while we've got a little bit of a break in the action then. How about that?
It's a good time for it. That was interesting timing. I thought he was going to roll up to the bumper of him into turn number 1 right there. Just got way sideways and had to lift completely out of it and collect the car. I think Jeff Wright hit the wall because he got scared by it in the background. But watch this. Almost full lock to the right. Almost looked like he hit the apron. Same thing the 55 did earlier. And he was able to keep it straight just like the 55 did. And yes, Jeff Wright did hit the wall a little bit there, still 3 laps down. But quite a moment for Simard from P3. Almost threw away the race for himself right there. But he continues on. Started 8th, up 5 positions today.
Well, you know that Ronnie Osmer is happy to see that in the rear view. That pushed out from just a mere quarter of a second to now over a second to the front bumper of Simard.
So kind of sort out the battles that are forming near the end of this race. Not too many close side-by-side battles at this point. Turner and Osmer are still one of the closest on the track to each other, although it's not a battle. 1.4 seconds just about. Got Max Cost about a second behind Cody Atkins, who is right behind Justin Carey. This could end up being the closest battle in the racetrack. They're both running even times to one another, even though completely different lines off the corner as Atkins, another one really sliding it off the corner, trying to get some grip, trying to drive it hard to the end. As this time by, Bailey Turner will end up taking 15 laps of racing to go. But this is definitely shaping up to be one of the closer battles on the track, and this is for the 8th position. And at the same time, they're both gaining, they're actually not gaining too much on Alan Dice, but they had been faster.
Atkins, he's been closing this gap for the last couple of laps there, as you were talking about trying to find some other battles on track. Keeping an eye on this one right here. Started out about a half-second difference now within a quarter. But meanwhile, up towards the front, Chris Simard took that 1 second difference and now has closed it to just about a half second. So Simard might have the pace to get back up here and battle Osmer for that second place finish.
I think he will have the pace to battle him. The only difference will be the time that he would have had. He would have had a lot more time to do it without that slide, but either way, he'll have a shot at him for sure. I'm sure he's hoping Jeff Wright lets these two battle, as he is 3 laps down, not in the lucky dog position. Ray Massey's actually not too far ahead. Actually not too far behind, I should say. Meanwhile, Atkins and Carey side by side out of 2 for that 8th position, as they'll go to battle with under 15 to go.
Atkins with a dive to the inside, Carey high on the outside. Got a 2-car gap there between the 55 and the 21.
Oh man.
Big contact.
Carey's gonna loose, but he's gonna lift out of it, just give the spot up. I don't think that was intentional on anyone, but that was huge slam together. They both went for the same piece of real estate, and it did not. It almost didn't end well, but either way, Atkins gets the 8th position. So here comes Simard for second.
Back in the picture after that big slide about 10 laps ago for Simard. He is right here all over the back bumper of Ronnie Osmer. Osmer back to that apron line that he's been running all race long. See if it'll be enough to hold off Simard for the next 11 laps this time by.
Samard's going to back the center of the corner up, get the run on corner exit, and he'll have a huge run down the front straightaway as Jeff Wright almost hits the wall just watching this battle unfold. Samard will look to the bottom. Osmer will try to shut it off, but can't quite do it. But Samard hit the bumps on the bottom of the racetrack, shot up almost into the side of the 20. And Osmer's going to make this pass hard on the 77 as much as he can, but a big wiggle off of 2. Samard has the advantage, has the momentum, I should say, in the turn number 3. Big dive into the corner, trying to pull the slide job. He will do so. Osmer will try to line up the crossover on the apron of the racetrack, but he does not have the momentum to quite do it. Trying to hang on to the left rear quarter panel. He'll have one more desperation look for the runner-up position in this race, but Samard has a good chance of completing this pass. Osmer in the grass again, to no avail. Chris Samard the second.
Osmer nearly clipping that wall right there out of the turn number 2, that inside wall, which is odd to say. Man, what a battle here for second, coming to the closing laps of this race. Inside 10 to go, this time by Bailey Turner with a 2.5-second lead over Chris Samard.
Let's make it 9 laps to go. Over 2 seconds. Turner just cruising, just like we said, hoping nothing happens as the battle's kind of weighing out at the end of this race. The battle for a top 5. Very hot, though. Jace Cutley has been reined in by James Loveland, the 0-2. Slightly fresher tire, gaining, looking to the right rear of the 65. Tight squeeze out of turn number 2. He has to back out into his VSPEED Camaro, but definitely showing more speed than the 65 at this point.
You might have the speed, but that 65 making that car as wide as the track is at the moment.
Whoa, man, they
Drives
both ran out of room.
all the way up to the wall there.
And they both ran out of room there. They had to really lift out of it. That's going to let Alan Dice actually gain a decent amount of time on both these drivers. But Loveland got the outside line that he wanted. He'll get the run off the corner to try to clear the 65, almost into the wall, but huge momentum off the corner. So put James Loveland back into the 5th position.
Saw Ronnie Osmer there on the entrance of turn number 3. The time difference dropped crazy. So you know he sent it in way deep into 3. Just like he does here in turn 1, side by side, just can't carry enough momentum to keep it side by side with Samard down the backstretch.
And it's not for a lack of trying. The tires just aren't there for him to be able to make that line work, but he is, to his credit, keeping the 77 in his sights and not letting him get away quite yet. Coming this time by 6 to go in that battle for second. Jeff Wright, he thought he was going to be in no battle for the win. 48 was looking pretty good. Internet issue, computer issue, whatever it was. Unfortunately, we've seen a number of times from the 48 of Jeff Wright over the years. As he slides out of 4, he might as well just be having fun at this point. But it's come unraveled, out of his control again. But he is still in the 13th position.
Looking off the back of the 77 here. Oh, a little bit of a slide there for
man.
Osmer. Able to control it. That just might have single-handedly ended Osmer's chances. We'll keep an eye on this here. No sense in looking away.
Osmer
in a
loses.
great position with the half-second gap out Osmer.
And Samard loses even more ground. It was the battle for 5th. Cully lost. Now he's in a battle for 6th as Alan Dice has reined him in. As Cully, once again, it's kind of unfortunately been the theme of his race, struggling on the long run with the tires. And he's fallen back into the clutches of the number 5 for that 6th position. And also Justin Carey, Cody Atkins, they're still pretty close together for the 8th position as well.
Just about to mention that. Saw that there in the background with Carey closing that gap to the 55. We got a couple battles to keep our eye on across the checkered line.
None at the front of the field. Bailey Turner once again for the time being all clear as Cully trying to use the bottom line out of the corner to keep the momentum. Same thing for the 55 of Atkins. Everyone's sliding off the corner. The tires are gone at this point. Some drivers hoping for it to be over. Some drivers want that one last chance with a tire set sitting in the pits. But not looking very likely as they'll get their chance. 2.5 laps to go. Turner halfway down the back straightaway as the battles for 6th and 8th rage on as Atkins and Carey a little bit closer than Cully and Dice, but Dice is right on the left rear quarter panel looking for the spot, looking for the clean air, but running out of time as Bailey Turner crosses the line. 2 laps of racing to go, 2 miles to go. About bumper-to-bumper traffic in those two battles, not side by side, but for Bailey Turner, this has been one of the better drives I've seen him make. Joined this session late, didn't get a queue time down, started almost shotgun on the field back in 17th, and with a little bit of strategy, able to restart on the front, and he is in position for a big win tonight. White flag one more time around the Magic Mile, and for Bailey Turner, that's the main flag he wanted to see, and now he'll be waiting to see the checkered flag. 2.2 second lead over Chris Samard, Osmer, Faircloth, Loveland, the top 5. Cully and Dice will battle for 6th. Atkins and Carey will battle for 8th with Max Cost clear in 10th. But what a drive from the 24, the Celsius Chevrolet Camaro. Bailey Turner enters high, exits low. The line of the day, the move of the day. Bailey Turner at a turn number 4 will win at New Hampshire in BTDY.
Like you said, one of the most supreme drives that we've seen all season long. Let's catch some of these battles coming across. As here comes Coley and Alan Dice. Coley able to keep ahead. Cody Atkins able to stay ahead of Justin Carey. The next two battles on track, the rest of them just falling in line here. But ultimately, the 24s, you see him drifting through turns 3 and 4 there. Finally coming back down the front stretch. We'll see this 24, Bailey Turner, burn it down for the first time this season, locking himself in to the chase for the cup.
Hasn't ran the most races this season, but when he runs races, he is always a threat to win, and he just made sure everyone remembered that today. Huge win in New Hampshire, gets it done in Loudon. What a drive.
One of the better celebrations of the season as well, coming from the 24.
He knows how to do those, that's for sure.
But with that said, we'll take a quick word from our sponsors here of the BTDY Racing Series. Then we'll be right back for our post-race coverage and interviews with our top 3 drivers. Stick around. You'll never miss any of this action.
Sailor Tarot Magic is the spot to get a reading from Sally, an intuitive healer and tarot reader. Known as the nurturing reader at New Jersey street fairs, you can also check out our YouTube channel for lunar and astro readings, as well as our Instagram for live weekly readings. Her rates are affordable, and you will leave with a newfound perspective. Sally is now offering an introductory class on tarot cards and intuition, and is available for parties. Call or text 732-314-0777 to schedule your reading today.
And we're back here live from New Hampshire with our post race coverage. We'll get right into our results here. 2 cautions on the field today, 10 lead changes, and most importantly, Bailey Turner locking himself in to that first round of 12, going for the chase for the cup. Chris Samard with a second place finish here tonight. I believe that's the best one he's had so far this season. And Ronnie Osmer takes home the third spot on the podium. Dennis Faircloth with some hard-fought battles here tonight takes home the fourth spot, followed by the 0-2 of James Loveland in fifth. Jace Coley in the 65 will take home the sixth finishing position here tonight. That'll be followed by Alan Dice in the 5, Cody Adkins in 8th, Justin Carey in 9th, and last but not least, Max Koss takes the 63 home to a top 10 finish.
Gets a top 10 at the end there. Jeremiah Vincent pretty much finished where he started, up one position. The last driver on the lead lap finishes 11th. Ray Massey was caught up in the second caution of the day. He finishes 2 laps down in 12th. Jeff Wright, one of the dominant cars of the day. Internet computer issues drop him out of the race while leading this race. Probably upset about that. He finishes 13th position, but still a healthy points lead going into Charlotte. And then the 14, who had some troubles today, Todd Giles Jr., 5 laps down into 14th position. 15th position, a driver caught up in the backstretch calamity that did not bring out a yellow early, James Mackey. He finishes 15th, 7 laps down. And then 4 of the drivers that did not end this race on the track. Ryan Gemmel dropped out late due to a speeding penalty, 16th for him. Dallas Sullivan caught up in caution number 2. He finishes 17th. And Brody Hayes, who dominated the first half of this race, caught up in that crash with Ronnie Osmer, contact from the 20, finishes 18th. And the first driver out of this race, Noah Mahalski, 19th position, 113 laps down. Those are your 19 finishers today.
We've got interviews lined up here, and I believe, Connor, you've already managed to go from the broadcast booth on the post-race rundown of the results all the way down to the podium here. We've got Ronnie Osmer standing by to talk with Connor Horn.
I'm used to going broadcast booth to interviews on Saturday nights, but I'll do it on a Tuesday night. Ronnie, P3 today for you. Ran up at the front a lot. Definitely had some good battles and definitely had some rough ups. First off, can you take us through the contact with the 37? There was a tight battle on the restart.
Well, I don't know what happened. Just lap before, I don't know if his splitter was on the ground or he just wanted to use me up, got me up the track. Used 8 tires instead of 4 to get through the corner. I was holding my line, got back to his inside, and I guess he had a spotter turned off or something because he just came straight down the track. But I'm sure I'll hear about it tomorrow from him. But it's whatever. Like,
Yeah, definitely a little bit of contact there, but you were able to survive it. Minimal damage. Did have to come from the rear, and then you had the little bit of a strategy. Was it a strategy change, just trying something different, or were you planning on the short pit like that just to get track position? Because you definitely seem to be on the earlier side of pit stops there.
uh, I felt like it was a change in call because of me going to the back. I I had to go. Of course, I had to go through the field to get back up there, and then once I cut back up to him, like I was staying even. And next thing you know, my tires are falling off from having to go through the field. So I had to make the the early pit call, or I was going to lose more ground and take a risk with how well I know I can save the tires here, and just almost did it.
Definitely almost were able to do it. And one more question about the racing. Saw a lot of drivers use all the track, run up the racetrack. You were one who was very committed to running the apron. Was it just more of a sort of feel for you, or did you just think that's where the speed was in comparison to higher on the racetrack?
Say it was a mixture of both feel and where I thought was faster. Because with how these Xfinity cars are, is just you gotta get anywhere you can to get clean air on the nose, and when everybody's going up the track, you might as well try the bottom. And then I saw that was working, and then it was the only line on track where I wasn't killing the splitter going into the corners. So that's what I was trying out. It was looking like during the beginning of the race, I was either faster or be able to keep up with the guys in front of me doing it. And then throughout the race, as things got spread out, it I'd say it hurt me on the long run, but in the short run to get past people and stay close to them. I think it definitely helped.
Definitely end up working out for you. P3 finish, a good finish for you on the day. So congratulations on that. Anyone you want to thank and shout out?
Just thanks to the guys who are in this league. Shout out to my guys at Firelight and for you guys for broadcasting.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that, Ronnie. P3 on today. A nice top 3 finish after starting 4th. Congrats on that. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's our P3 finisher, Ronnie Osmer, and we'll have our race winner, Bailey Turner, in just a few moments. But Logan, right now, you have Chris Samard with his P2 finish.
That I do, standing by here with the 77, otherwise known as Mr. Sorry, but not sorry for a second place finish here tonight. Chris, you started out in 8th, made up 6 spots here, and a hard-fought battle there with Ronnie Osmer coming to those final 20 laps. Saw you get sideways, lost a lot of time, able to recollect that car, and ultimately get around that 20 machine. Now, Chris, any thoughts there in those last 20 laps trying to get around Ronnie Osmer?
Oh, he was running a different line than I would run. I think he called it when I was talking to him. I think he called it the wet line or the rain line that he was running from last year when they ran in the rain, and it was tough trying to get by him. And then he was kind of pressuring me after I got by him, so I almost had to say sorry because I almost crashed coming off a turn 4 there and on my own. It was kind of embarrassing, but I'm glad I hung on to it. So
We got a nice shot of that as well. And, honestly, I have to say, I'm surprised you didn't say sorry. So to hear you say that you didn't is shocking. But
it was.
ultimately, you had a great race. Go ahead. What were you going to say there,
Yeah,
Chris?
I was just gonna say it was pretty close to me saying sorry. But
Well, it doesn't fall short of the nickname by any means, but second place overall isn't bad by any recollection to my knowledge. So, Chris, we're going into one more race next week at Charlotte. You're in good standing in the points, but not quite locked in here. You were nearly there with the second place finish with the win, but what are we going to do next week to make sure that you make it to the chase for the cup?
well, I'm gonna take it as easy as I can. I know it's a long race. I think it's the longest race of the season, if I recall. But just pace myself, and I'm kind of an old guy, so I need to pace myself anyways. But it it I think if I just stay out of trouble, I'll get a good finish. Top 10 would be nice just to get into the the playoffs and everything. That would be nice next week. So
Well, sounds like a plan to me from that VSPEED 77. Chris, is there anybody you'd like to say thanks to for this second place finish tonight?
you guys up in the booth, you guys do a great job every week. I love going back and watching the races. My wife and son, I'd like to. Um, I'm still thinking about Seth and praying for him, and hopefully he gets better soon. And I know I say it every week, but I'm hoping we could talk to him soon and he gets a lot better. So and I can't think of anyone. All my teammates at VSpeed, they help me out a lot, and I'm butchering this, but I think I don't know how I don't know any more that I can thank. So
Well, fair enough. I feel like you covered pretty well all of it, and you know that Seth, once he finally gets to watch this race back, he'll be very happy to see his teammate taking home a second place win, or second place finish, rather. But Chris, great race overall. We'll see you next week at Charlotte, buddy.
all right, thank you, fellas. Have a good night.
Second place finisher Chris Samard started 8th, finished 2nd. Can't be upset with that at all. But meanwhile, we've got Connor Horn, who is now standing by with our race winner, Bailey Turner.
Race winner, Bailey Turner. Not a lot of starts in BTDY this season, but you get the big win at New Hampshire in your first race in a while. Obviously, a lot of big battling to get through the field, and this is a big track position track for the most part, especially in these Xfinity cars. Take us through just getting through the field to get to that position.
Yeah, I joined in. If I go look, I think I had about 5 laps of practice, maybe. Yeah, exactly 5. Just joined in and I haven't, like you said, haven't been here very often, and obviously I know there are points battles and things going on, and didn't want to affect anybody's races by doing anything stupid, so decided to start in the back and kind of basically relearn New Hampshire after this update. Even if it's just artwork or whatever, it still drives a little different than it used to. So just kind of learning my way through the race and felt really good about my long run pace that first run. I was matching lap times with Brody there, and actually was gaining on the leaders throughout the tail end of those last 15 laps of the run. And just figured I'd go a little long and kind of jump those guys ahead of me. And caution came out 2 laps into my run, and I was like, well, that's pointless. I'm not gonna pit. And it was definitely a handful trying to stay up there, and eventually started losing time to Jeff because I was pushing so hard trying to just manage staying close to him. And obviously that win was most likely Jeff's, so it sucks I had to take it away from him. But same time, can't be too upset with what was going to be a P2 and now a P1.
Definitely can't complain about that. Led over a fifth of this race, and obviously you're using that higher entry, lower exit to your advantage for sure. We saw the 20 running the way bottom. We saw other drivers even pushing limits higher. From the art change, obviously it raced a little different the last time I watched you race here in Saturday night, but after the art change and with these cars, what is the biggest difference in this track as far as just running the line and just how you drive this track?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like in the old package you could kind of wrap the bottom on both ends, and it would really pay off in the long run. And just what I noticed is, with a few setup changes and then the artwork change and things like that, whether it was just artwork or the track, the splitter hits the track so hard on entry into turn 3 that you really got to either pick or kind of pick and choose your battle. Do you want to enter way up high like I was doing, almost like above that top seam, or kind of enter at the bottom like you saw guys like Ronnie and Dennis, and it was kind of pick your poison kind of thing. And I think both lines really worked. I think if that that middle run of the race when Jeff got ahead of me, like I said, I was just pushing too hard on a tire deficit and kind of ran the stuff off. But the later I went into that run, it definitely seemed like you can make the bottom of turn 2 really work on the bottom and kind of getting that straight drive off. And I was kind of doing the same thing, just opposite a little bit in 3 and 4. I'd do really high, and then I'd really just try to straighten up my exit as much as I can and get as much drive off in the rears, because it was lacking a little bit of lateral grip, but at the same time you were a little bit tight on entry. So just doing the best to manage that, really lengthen that straightaway the best I could. And Jeff was doing a few things differently. You saw a bunch of guys running different lines, and I don't think any of them were necessarily wrong. It really was just managing the wheel spin and, that lateral grip that would start to slip away throughout the run.
You definitely had to manage that. We saw a lot of drivers slipping and sliding, but you were able to prevail over all of them. You lead 33 of 150, come from 17th to first to get your first victory on the season. Anyone you want to thank, shout out, sponsorship-wise, teammate-wise, really anyone?
Yeah, obviously Jeff Wright, my internet provider, for holding up a little better than Jeff's over there. Everybody over here at BTDY, I miss coming in here on Tuesday nights, and glad I could come in and have a little success. I was a little worried. I hadn't jumped in this Xfinity car in a couple months, but shout out to the admins keeping this league going, and obviously VSPEED and everything you guys do to put on a show for everybody every week. Hopefully the car counts can continue to improve, and we can kind of keep this thing going.
Bailey Turner, it's like he never left. He wins at New Hampshire from the back to the front. Bailey, thanks for talking to us. Maybe we'll see you in another race.
Appreciate it, guys.
Logan, that's going to pretty much wrap up for me. Final thoughts. I think the track race is as good as it ever has. We went over that earlier before the race even started with the art refresh and everything that's changed with this track. It races crazy. You got all sorts of different lines. It almost does look like what the Cup race looked like in real life when it was wet. Just all sorts of grooves being used, different tire strategies as well. Had a few big contenders get taken out, whether due to crash or internet. But at the end of the day, I think maybe one of the fastest drivers still won this race. Coming from 17th to win at New Hampshire, always a tough feat. Bailey Turner did that pretty well tonight, so great win for him. And what a race to almost close out this regular season. We still got Charlotte coming up next.
Yeah, just one final race for the regular season to be held next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway, where we will officially lock in our 12 Chase for the Cup drivers. But If you enjoyed tonight's coverage, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another race. For everybody behind the scenes at BTDY and everybody behind the scenes at VSPEED, Adam Baker, Bradley Cooper, Eddie Smith, Morgan Cook, my guest for the night, Connor, thank you for being here. I've been Logan Threlkeld. Good night, and we'll see you next week for the last race of the regular season.